Okay, we are live. Tap in Birdie, Truist Championship, Myrtle Beach Week, whatever the DP World Tour event. I don't know it off the top of my head, but very happy to be joined by a proper bloke, a proper lad, Tom Jacobs. How you doing tonight?
I'm good, Brian. It's good to be back on. It's been a while, isn't it?
It
Actually,
has. I always feel bad asking you to come on given the fact that it's 10:30 at night where you are, but I think you might be a bit of a night owl. You don't mind it once in a while.
yeah. I mean, look, I think I'll just go for the pants, go for the vibes. It's fine. 10:30. It's like the new 7:30, right?
Exactly. But yeah, I always love talking golf with you. I like that we have Myrtle Beach this week. I don't know if you've dove in heavy to the Myrtle Beach Classic, but you're a guy that can bet on other tours. You're not, beholden to just the PGA Tour. And I always love talking golf with you. So I think we got a couple good events on the slate this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Likewise, feel the same. So I'm looking forward to going through them both.
And I don't know if you saw my tweet, but I think this is a good kickoff to my London trip next week. I'm headed over to the UK for the first time in my life. So,
Wow.
maybe need some advice on, what to do, what to say, how to act. But I will be in London
I,
in 2 weeks' time.
I feel like you've already been an adopted Englishman, right? Like
Yes,
you've been practicing for this moment for 3 years now. I mean, you go around,
exactly.
call everyone a proper bloke, call them a lad, and
Yeah.
just call everyone Tommy like you do, and game on.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about going to that Nottingham Forest game.
Yeah.
That's going to be in London, but I think I'm going to go to the Arsenal Newcastle game. That's Sunday the 18th. So I'm properly chuffed to go to my first Premier League game. I don't really know what to expect. Like I again, bad stereotype. Like I feel like it's very intense, and like if you sit in the wrong spot you could like get into a fight, or like not I don't I that's what I have in my mind for a Premier League game. Am I wrong
I,
about that?
I think you'll probably be okay at Arsenal. I think if you'd chosen a different game, we'd be a different conversation. I think you'll be fine at Arsenal versus Newcastle. Arsenal
Okay.
basically have nothing left to play for in the Premier League unless they really have a fall at this point. And Newcastle are pushing, but they're not like overly aggressive.
Yeah, they're
So
both playing for the Champions League,
yeah,
basically. Like, I feel like that is one of the disadvantages of the Premier League. Like, Liverpool locked it up with like a month to go. Like,
yeah,
you're really just kind of playing for the Champions League, which is like in a year.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's anticlimactic, in my opinion, the Premier League a little bit if someone runs away with it, as Liverpool did this year. So I think that's a bit of a negative for me. But I'm still excited to go.
Good. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you as well.
So, any big takeaways from the CJ Cup, Byron Nelson last week? Obviously, one of historically one of the worst events on the PGA Tour in terms of the field and the course and the scoring. And then you kind of have a Scotty runaway. It definitely was not a recipe for a highly entertaining PGA Tour event.
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is that it wasn't entertaining, but it's because Scottie Scheffler didn't allow it to be entertaining, right? Like as much as the course is too easy and that makes things horrible, right? The fact that he's won by 8 strokes and shot 31 under is just shows that he's kind of in that position still to win that because he hasn't been at his best. Like there's no
Yeah,
two ways about it. Like there's an obvious, incredibly high floor for someone like Scottie Scheffler, and he's still the second best player in the world this year, despite not having his best stuff. And when he has the opportunity to be far and away the best player, I mean, he was like, what was he like 3-1, and Spieth was like 20-1. It was such a big
yeah,
gap in the odds board, and he lived up to it, right? And I think sometimes that gets overlooked. Like it's like, oh, well, Scheffler, of course, Scheffler won. He was 3-1. It's a crap field, and he should shoot that number. Like it's not just a given. Golf shouldn't be just a given. It's impressive. It's big for him going into the PGA Championship. I don't think it changes my opinion of Scheffler this season. I don't think we've learned anything new. I think he was almost always capable of doing that at the CJ Cup. Now it's whether he can dethrone Rory. Like that's the only real question this year, I think, is how many times is he going to win? Is it going to be more than once? Is he going to win a major that's not the Masters anytime soon? And is he going to be better than Rory McIlroy? That's basically his only target this year. So if he's better than Rory McIlroy, he stays number one for the rest of the year, I guess. So
yeah, I think honestly, it's one thing if he won that event by 1 or 2 strokes over EVR and Sam Stevens, but to absolutely dominate the field and shoot the low round the first 2 days, and then he was like 3 off, like in total the next 3 rounds, and you know, we always look at the stats and stuff. The total strokes gained to the field is always very interesting to me for winners. Like you see guys went on the PGA Tour, 13, they gained 13 strokes to the field, or, they gained 12, or like on the high end, kind of in that 15 to 16 range. Like that's really impressive. But for him to have the 6th or 7th all-time strokes gained number at an event, Tiger, Phil, Stenson, Calcavecchia, and Phil again were the only better from a strokes gained perspective. So in that respect, that makes it so much more impressive. Like I don't think anyone was impressed by him winning the Byron Nelson in a vacuum, but just the manner in which he did it and how good he was hitting his irons and, actually making a couple putts here and there. Like I thought was very, very impressive, but it's hard to say how much, like how out of nowhere this came. Like if this happened at this event last year, no one, would have, thought twice, but, I know he hasn't been great this year, but I do think to some extent it is somewhat out of nowhere from the way he was playing. Like, I think that the injury is completely behind him, and that just kind of derailed him. But I think at this point, he's close to the level he was next year. Are you more scared of Scotty or Rory at Quail? Obviously.
I think it's still Rory. I don't think this has necessarily changed, but to your point, like the way he won is so different. Like, and to do that again without he hasn't had his best stuff or perceived to not have had his best stuff. There's no questioning that he hasn't been as good as he has been in the last couple of seasons. But I think the most impressive thing is that we're not impressed by his win. If you know what I mean. Like the fact that we just go, okay, well, Scheffler won and he should have won is the biggest testament to him and how impressive he is. So, and that's, as you said, by an 8-shot margin. Like EVR did everything he could possibly throw at him. Spieth shoots 9 under on the final day and it's just nowhere near the guy. Like it's unbelievable. So does it change my opinion of Scheffler going forward? No. I think we all had this kind of opinion that he could do this at any point, and it's happened in the CJ Cup. Now we've got to see if he can do it with Rory and Xander and co in the field, which is really the only question mark now, which the answer is obviously yes, he can. That's the one thing he has left to, accomplish in his career is win a major. That's not the Masters. I think that's pretty clear to everybody. And I mean, his track record is decent at the majors outside the Masters, but, he's kind of had a shot at only a few, and he hasn't been, in the mix at every major other than the Masters like that much. Like he was close at the Country Club when Fitz won. He was kind of close at LACC. He was close at Oak Hill. But he really needs to contend hard in one of these next 2 majors. Open, I'll throw out. Like I'm not holding anyone to a standard to play well at Portrush. And, that's why I know Rory's getting a lot of hype at Portrush. I don't think course fit wise, there's no reason that he should play well at Portrush. Like the Open, in my opinion, is such a random event that anybody can play well and win at that, a guy like Scotty or Rory or Bryson or Rahm or whatever, none of them are going to be like unbelievable fits, like best man to beat at any Open, in my real opinion. Yeah, I think for the most part, the weather has the biggest play, right? It
Yeah.
depends on the times when there's a draw, and then it comes down to, are you good at, like, for example, Fleetwood, Lowry, to an extent, Rory, Rose, all these people are going to get elevated for links pedigree. Tyrrell
Yeah.
Hatton. Sometimes it's just irrelevant. Like to me, if I think about, everyone will sort of talk about Tommy Fleetwood's major chances and they'll point to the Open Championship for the rest of his career. I don't think it makes a difference. The guy will either win a major championship. I don't think it's going to definitely be the Open Championship. I think he's probably actually more suited like a US Open, right? But you're always going to have that link. And as you said, like, I wouldn't hold any player to their performances in an Open Championship because the venue changes so often, because maybe Rory McIlroy at like St Andrews, like he was the perfect fit into
like Cam Smith at St Andrews, Harman at the Open, we had him. Whatever. But like the elite guys, I'm never gonna be like, 20-1, like have to bet that, because I personally just think at the Open it's so wide open.
And like to the point about Scheffler and majors, like he's finished second in the other two, and yes, he was close at Southern Hills, right, when Fitz won, but to your point, like, he doesn't feel like he was ever going to win those ones. He was always lurking, and he was always a kind of threat. But it is the Masters where he's put his foot down twice, and impressively so. And I don't think neither of us are questioning that he could do that in any other major. I think it's just until it happens, it hasn't happened type thing. So the record says first, second, and seventh, or whatever in best major finishes.
Yeah.
But we want to see him. I'd love to see him front run one of these US Open or PGAs and just see what he does.
Where I know we haven't talked since the Rory win. Where are you at on, if I'm giving you, does he win one of the next 6 majors? Like where are you at on that?
He wins another one in the next 6. That would be mine.
Okay.
So I went from when he didn't win the US Open against Bryson, I was like, can he ever win a major again? I was quite vocal in saying I didn't think he was going to win the Masters. I just felt like it meant too much to him. Then as we got closer to this one, it was like, well, it's actually his best chance. It's his to kind of throw away, and no one else is kind of playing to his sort of standard. And he tried his best to throw it away on the Sunday and bounce back in so many ways. So the fact he's now done that, I find it very hard to believe he won't get another 2 majors in his career. And I think the line is, I think you said before, like you said the line like 7.5. I think he probably eclipses that. I think he gets to 8. And then it just becomes a discussion, like, is that good enough? Like, because he had that such a big period, like 11 years of just no major wins, or 10 years of no major wins. That's the question mark. Is like, has he failed to live up to expectations? Maybe the expectations were too high. I don't know. Like when he won in 2014 at the PGA, Jack Nicklaus is like, oh, he'll win 15 to 20 majors. That like ridiculous, but like
it just never works out that way unless your name is Tiger Woods.
But that was how he was being spoken about, right? Like it was always that Tiger was obviously going to eclipse Jack. That didn't happen, or it's probably not going to happen. Rory was bound to eclipse those two, or get close to those two, and he hasn't. And for good reason. There's been so many good players since Rory came onto the scene that hard to sustain that. And I think he gets another one in the next 6. He's obviously just the clear favourite, I think, for next week. It's an interesting point that he hasn't necessarily lived up to the hype of playing these major courses in the way, like when he's played well there in a regular event, he hasn't necessarily done so well in the major, or he played well in the major before, he hasn't gone back and done well again. So it'd be interesting to see how he copes with that. I mean, obviously, like, I think the difference with him now is that he seems to be able to win anywhere, like winning at Pebble, winning, where he's
at Sawgrass again.
Like it's just so different. So I think he does get another one. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another one this year now. But I wouldn't go all in like on Portrush like everyone else is. Like I think
I think U.S. Open. I mean, how I look at it, I think he absolutely has to get to 6. I think 5 would be a bit of a disappointment. He has to get to 6. 7 would be like amazing, like gravy, and I think 8 would be like unbelievable. Like if he did. I mean, we're like, no one knows more than Rory that you can't just hand out majors because it just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. But I'm really interested to see what he does, because I mean, he has the history at Quail, and he's been the best U.S. Open player over the past 10 years, and he just starts on second base at all these courses. So I'm very curious as to what will happen with him the next two majors.
Me and Joe House did a podcast yesterday about Rory, and like it was kind of like the thing with him is that you kind of keep resetting your expectations for him. So if he wins another one, it'll be an absolute disappointment if he doesn't get to 9. If he wins another one, it's like, how does he not get to double digits? Like every time he wins one, it's not going to be, okay, that's him done now. He's reached a peak or whatever. It's going to be, how is he not going to get? I mean, like when Brooks kept winning to the point where he got to 5 or whatever, like how does he not get to 10? Like everyone just kind of has that same question mark. And like I don't know how Bryson won't get 4 or 5 majors, but it's going to be hard. Like it's not just as simple as him just going and getting them, right? So really interesting to see what happens.
So we have a new course this week. Philly Cricket Club, oldest country club in the country, even though they didn't really play golf there until the 20s. I will be there on Saturday. I'm going. Shout out Tybo. He got me some free tickets. They were like $400. Nice. So I was not paying that at all. But, we on the PGA Tour, we don't get a lot of new courses, and we don't get a lot of Northeast courses that I can go to. So I could not be more excited for this week and this opportunity to have a new course, something different, and I can actually go to it because we just get these opportunities so little. How are you feeling about Philly cricket?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think from the kind of flyovers and the pictures and the commentary we were seeing, Andy did a big breakdown on his podcast. Like, from everything that we've kind of heard, it should be really exciting. From a betting perspective, it's always quite daunting. Like, it's always like, how do we go about this? And I've tried so hard in the past, Brian, I'm sure you have as well. Like, when you get these new courses, you try and find every single angle, everything you could possibly find. You look for quotes, you look for players that maybe sort of secret members there or whatever that have all these kind of things to give. And people will come out the woodwork and show, I think you shared a video earlier and that have played it and things like that and give you tidbits. But ultimately, we've never seen a PGA Tour event here. And that's the difference. Like every time you see a course, it's like, you're never going to be able to get out of that rough. You're never going to be able to get to that score. You're never going to be able to do this. And all of a sudden, a PGA Tour player takes it to 20 under. And it's actually like these Northeastern events, right, that it's kind of like, these are always really quite tough, and especially when they're the FedEx Cup playoff events. And I think it will be quite tough, but it's so hard to work out. So the only thing I really did was lent into kind of Tillinghast designs and hope that helps me in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, got to shout out Andy. I thought his course preview pod was really great, and obviously at ISN we have his course breakdown, which I thought was really good. We'd love to have you. This week's going to be obviously big for us. We have a lot of people around the area. We'll have people there Wednesday, so I'm looking forward to it. I personally, I'm not as big on me personally in my betting, like, needing every single thing, on the course. But my opinion is I do think it's kind of open to some different skill sets. Like, I don't necessarily, going to cut out half the field like we're playing at Oakmont or something like that. Like, I do think you can make a case for a lot of different golfers, which is really, as golf bettors, like what we want to do. Like, I don't want to say he absolutely cannot win here because of the course conditions. Like, it's short enough, in my opinion, that really anybody in the field, no matter how long you are off the tee, could contend. Obviously, distance is going to be a massive edge anywhere you play. And then I also think, Vegas, Jeff Sherman came out with his over-under. He's, one of the foremost golf odds maker, and he set it at 19.5. So, I mean, I don't really know. I know we heard that there wasn't really that much rain there today. There might be some tomorrow, but like the rest of the week looks pretty good. I don't know how firm they could get it. Where are you at kind of on a winning score? Like, I'm thinking, I don't know if they're going to get to 20, but I can't see it being like lower than, I don't know, like 16. I think it's going to be in like that 16 to 19 range kind of.
Yeah, like I would sit on that kind of 18 under fence of just like, with the kind of caveat that we just see this from these PGA Tour pros all the time. Yeah. Like it might be if the Corn Ferry played it kind of gets to 12, 14 under, and these guys just take it another step further, right? It's one of those ones now, Brian, and to your point about like not needing everything about the golf course. Probably this year, or maybe sort of second half of last year, sometimes I've just tried to get out of my own way. Like before, I'd be like, right, I have to know the exact stats that are going to matter this week. I have to know who designed it, who links to the designer, all these course correlations. And now I'm just like, look, I've picked 4 guys this week. They're all playing pretty well. Generally speaking, when a new course comes up, they're absolutely fine. And someone's got to be good. So it's not a case of like anyone's got a huge advantage. Like someone has to be good here. The skill sets translate. Are they in good form? It, as you said, it's not a course where we should rule out Jordan Spieth because he has to carry it 350 yards. We should just focus on actually people are playing well, and that is, as you say, the best way to go about it. Then I have a full range of people to pick from. It's a shorter field, right? And that's the best way to bet, I think, is just to focus on the 4 guys you like. And then you've got the links that you throw in. I've definitely done that. Yeah. But like, I don't want to rely on this kind of skill set.
I will have to say I'm a bit disappointed with the odds this week. And I'm not one to say because I want to bet X golfer at 40-1 and he's 20 and I have completely unrealistic views. Like the odds are not that great this week, in my opinion. There's not a lot of, there's tons of value on this guy. And I think, kind of go to the EVR route. That's definitely one of the downsides to these signatures events with 70 people, with like 10 guys in it or so that are not playing good at all, but since they won last year, they played well in the fall, or like in all of them. So, I'm not jumping at any odds. I haven't made any bets this week, honestly. There was nothing on the board that really, struck me fancy, right off the jump. So I guess we'll see and get into it. Again, Rory, I don't know. I think he is the king of winning the week before major. He has done that an absolutely ridiculous amount of times in his career. If he didn't win the Masters and he finished T15, I mean, he would be a shoo-in to win this week, truly. The way he's played on these shorter courses this year has been really impressive. I thought his wedge play at Augusta was really great. Obviously, at Saw and Pebble was really great. He's hitting these like half shots that stop on a dime, and I think he can obviously do that this week. I think he's going to be tough to beat this week, but I'm not overly scared.
I'm not. No, like I think if you beat Rory McIlroy, you're in contention, right? Just because of how well he's playing, as you said. But this is the first time where I've gone, actually, I think we can kind of take him on. I feel pretty good. And like you said, you're probably just not getting the overall value of taking him on. Like the 5-1 Rory and 14-1 Colin Morikawa is not the 3-1 Scotty and 20-1 Jordan Spieth from last week, right? Like it's not set, which it shouldn't be because it is a signature event and the better player, the second best players are better than last week. But I think the real one that hit home was like Russell Henley. Like I wanted to bet Russell Henley this week. And then you open up the thing, and he's 22-1, then 25-1, does go out to 33-1. Everyone bets it, it's down to 25 again. Like, I don't want to be betting Russell Henley at 25-1, not to win a second signature event in three. So that I think was probably the biggest. Like, okay, this is not the best value wise, and it comes to the point, especially as well. Like when you look at the people that just can't win, there's plenty of them that are down there, and they're still like 125-1. You're like, well, there's just not even a value to take a big stab.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to get a major next week where there's just going to be loads of value. It is just, you've got to make a decision. And I get it.
So if you were to rank the 4 under 20-1, JT, Ludwig, Xander, and Colin in terms of your chances for them to win, what are you ranking those for?
I think I would go Xander, Colin, JT. And then did you say Ludwig?
And Ludwig.
Yeah, he's last. Like I'm not sure how I feel about Ludwig at the moment.
I agree. It hurts me that he still beat me at Torrey and has done absolutely nothing. He was good at the Masters, but still, he definitely has not been great since his win, other than Augusta. I think this is a solid course for him. On paper, I'm never going to discount his chances. I think 18-1, solid number. I don't know if I'm there yet. I don't know if he's going to get to these big wins in a short amount of time. Colin is really interesting this week. Obviously has a new caddy on the bag. We've seen guys time and time again get a new caddy on the bag and win big events. I actually listened to him on Dan on Golf talk about it, and he said things weren't right between them, and he felt very tense with him, and I think that might have caught up to him in kind of the winning department. I think it's really tough to make. He can win, but I think it's really tough to pull the trigger at 14-1.
One I don't want to pull the trigger on Conor McGrath 14-1 at all at the moment. I've tried that once this season; it was horrible, and there's just nothing to. He's taken a couple of years to win again, and look, he could have the quick caddy result, and fine, it happens, and that'd be great. I'd probably rather just wait until he's 20-1. It won't be long, unless he wins back-to-back weeks or something. I find it really weird when they say there was tension with the caddy and he couldn't play golf. Like what? Like was he hovering over your shoulder while you were hitting a shot? Like just like if you don't agree with what he's saying, just ignore him and go and hit the shot yourself then. Like it's such a weird concept that they would get in your way that much. I understand relationships coming to an end, but I think he's kind of hoping for that quick caddy bump and then he can go, yeah, that was all the problem was, and kind of trick himself into that. So I think he's
exactly it's something like we joke around about on Twitter, like new caddy, like have to bet him. Like he might be bought into this. Like
he's saying
if JT didn't if JT didn't win Harbour Town, I don't know if Colin has a new caddy this week, to be honest.
I don't think he does. I think he just looks at it and goes, shit, like he said it's temporary, I'm gonna go and get him, like while I still can. Like I don't know if anyone was calling out for him before that JT win. JT didn't even like him permanent. Like it's not. It's such a weird.
No, he definitely is a good caddy though. But I think that's interesting. Xander is really interesting to me this week. He's won the Travelers. Like he can win on easier wedge courses. The approach play has been really good this year. He hasn't really been putting well, and I genuinely do think it's one of the more fair numbers on the board this week. To be completely honest, like I think Xander 18 or 16 is fair in my honest opinion. So I really don't hate that at all. I don't have a great feeling about it, but I'm going to bet Patrick Cantlay this week. The ball striking has been really, really solid this year. He played well at Hilton Head and did not putt well. We've seen him time and time again win on bent grass golf courses. It was a very long time ago, but the last time we had a new Northeast course at Wilmington Country Club, Cantlay won at 14 under. Kind of similar to where we'll be this week. He, at the same time, I'm pretty sure Valero's bent, and he putted pretty bad there. I don't feel amazing about it, but even Ron Kloss, who we both like, put it out. Strokes gained Northeast, strokes gained on bent grass. It's Cantlay. The way he's hitting it, I think it's worth it. And you look at the winners of signature events this year, Cantlay is an elite caliber player that fits in with those guys. So I'm in at 20-1. I don't feel unbelievable about it, but I'm in.
There's been a couple of times this season where I've gone like, for those exact reasons, like he's returning to a golf course like the Heritage. I didn't bet him, but like same situation. He plays so well here. He's going to win at some point. He's hitting the ball really well. He's just not quite getting the finishes. I'm just over Cantlay for a little bit. Like I get it. I get why people like, if you bet him at 20-1 for the next 4 or 5 events, he could very easily pick one off. It's just picking which one. Like, is it going to be a brand new golf course in the Northeast where no one else has an edge? I think essentially that's the way to do it, rather than trying to back him at Quail Hollow and all these other places. So yeah, I'm fine with it. I think he's hitting the ball well. Like if the underlining numbers for someone like Cantlay are there in terms of approach play and things like that, eventually it will come good. It's just a tough grab with. I think the thing with Cantlay is like people just don't like him. Right?
Agreed. I think he's not a very likable guy. Even though when I go to golf tournaments and have followed him, like I've thought he was like really like enjoyable to follow and he interacts with the crowd, and I think he's a good guy, and I think he's really smart, and he's been great. Yeah, and he's been good in the Ryder Cups, and he's been good in the President's Cup. Like I don't really know why he gets such bad rap, but regardless. So you're on Hovland this week, right?
Yeah.
So what's the case for Victor Hovland?
I just think he's back. I just think that little run, like I wanted to see how he responded to what was an unexpected win at the Valspar, and I did think that there's both him and Ludwig. I felt like their wins potentially covered up a lot of cracks, but since that win at the Valspar, Hovland seems to have kind of found it again. He was impressive at Augusta, finished, 21st, but he was ninth at halfway. He was still 14th going into Sunday, had a chance to kind of climb inside that top 10. Comes back at the Heritage, finishes 13th without really going, super low on any of the days. But it just feels like he's been consistent again. The ball striking is there. And when you look at some of the sort of Tillinghast stuff, not that I really based my pick of him on it. He did finish 13th for Winged Foot at the US Open, which is great. So, yeah, I don't think he's all the way back, but at 28-1, they don't think he is either. He should be 14-1 if he's all the way back, right? So
yeah, I think 28 is a very fair number.
I just think it's a bit of a numbers play for me. He got to kind of like 50, 60 when he won the Valspar, and that's a completely different realm. But there was nothing really other than he was getting too big on the odds board to suggest that you should bet Victor Hovland. Whereas now you should. He's showing you that he's playing well. He likes his part of the world. It's absolutely. He's
a great bent putter. He's won a decent amount on bent. I trust him on bent greens. I truly think that it's a good bet at 28 for sure. And there's no reason he can't win 2 in a short time.
Yeah, for sure. There's I guess everyone above him is in the same category that they can win 2 in a short space of time. But I mean, Henley probably just the difference. But I think for me, I trust him to do anything. I feel like he can win this week and next week as well. Yeah. He's that type of person. So I think he's still potentially a future world number 1 if he can get it all back together. But he may have missed that golden window.
How big of an ask would it be for Spieth to win this week?
I think he can win it. And I think
okay. All right. Sweet.
Yeah. So I've bet him as well. So we'll jump into that. And this was the biggest point to your point earlier about it's a course where everyone can play. If we come to one of these northeast courses where it's just too big or a Tillinghast design like Winged Foot where he just had no chance as soon as he gets to the tee, I'd say no. But his ball striking is really good. His tee screen was the best he's done in a while in Texas last week. And I think the thing for me was it took me a while to believe that Spieth was getting back to his best because it was, 12th at the Texas Open, 14th for the Masters, just 2 courses that he's going to play well. But then 18th for the Heritage, he's obviously won and finished second there in the past, but then 4th last week with a final round 62. Just kind of tipped me over the edge. Okay, Jordan Spieth probably is back. He was 28th for the Valspar, solid enough. And then you look at it and the 2 times he had real spike weeks, tee to green, was Phoenix and last week, and they were both runaway winners. I mean, one of them was Thomas Dietrich as opposed to Scottie Scheffler, but he had no chance of winning. So I don't think it's a negative that he just played so well and was among the best of the rest. And eventually the confidence is getting there. So whilst no one else has got this huge edge, I think Spieth's a good bet at 28-1.
Yeah, I agree. I think the number is short from kind of, just based off last week at Byron. But again, none of these numbers are really that great. I'm good on Fleetwood. Maybe he can contend. I'm sure he can finish T7 this week.
Fleetwood's not going to win, so I just don't care. I have way more faith in Spieth winning than Fleetwood. And that's not a good sign for Fleetwood because Spieth is hard to trust at the moment. Yeah. But to the point you're probably just going to go on to make, I've interrupted. Henley, Hideki's not playing very well. Corey Connors are the other guys next to the list. If you're just trying to search for value, this is probably not the event. If you just want who are these 4 players that can win, here's the discussion. But I would never make a bet that I felt was terrible value. But sometimes you just have to eat a little bit just to.
Yep. And again, this week there's just not a lot of great options, so it really doesn't matter that much. But I do think it's kind of important to have someone below 30-1 this week. Sure. I don't know, the signature events have just kind of produced these winners. Oh shit, am I good? I'm back. I got a call. I've never gotten a call during TIB, so I apologize about that. But I do think it's important to have someone kind of below 30-1 this week. I bet I'm going to bet Dan Berger this week. This is just a pot committed scenario.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, he's won Colonial, a shorter, mid scoring event. I think he's a pretty decent bent putter. He's just been playing some really consistent golf, and that doesn't necessarily always result in a win. But again, just kind of have to ride out certain guys. But had his best approach performance of the season at Heritage. Hit the ball really well, just could not putt. And, not that he's the greatest putter in the entire world, but I expect that to flip to a certain extent. And, he's, fine on bent. I think that he is able to kind of do it this week. So 40-1, 45-1. No real beef there. I'm going to bet him. Straka, any interest to you? Keegan, Mav, Sanjay, Day, any of those guys?
The final one, I was just shaking my head all the way through that list, and then you said Jason Day, and he's the next one for me. And this is a bit of a surprise, and it could be the one that's the kind of big reach because it is leaning into that Tillinghast form that could mean absolutely nothing. But Jason Day is second at the Balls Roll for the PGA Championship in 2016, second and fifth in the Barclays in 2014 and 2010. Both of those are at Ridgewood. Fourth at the 2016 Barclays, that was Bethpage Black as well. All Tillinghast designs. I think that has to be considered this week when we don't know anything else. And he's also finished eighth twice in the last four starts. One of those at the Masters and the other at Bay Hill, which is another signature event. Both of those he could have performed even better. He was in a better position going in Sunday in both. So he's obviously playing the right level in the biggest events. He loves Tillinghast design. So if that means anything, he's the one. And that's why I'm kind of committed to that. But we've got to kind of get this decision thing now. I think Day's going to have to go down kind of like Justin Rose route of just, is he just here for the biggest events now? And that seems to be how he's already playing his card. Like he's going to play a couple of good signature events, play well in the majors, and then go from there. And if it works for him, great. But yeah, I think for me, Jason Day at 50-1, when we're really struggling for value in this field, I thought was pretty decent considering the eighth place finishes at Bay Hill and Augusta.
No, I agree. He's really played some great golf this year, and he can obviously spike with the putter. He's a good wedge player. I don't think there's any reason that he can't contend at this course. I'm betting Keegan. I bet him a ton. A true you got me situation, but he has been hitting the ball really well. 7.7 tee to green at the Heritage, lost 5 putting. The putting has been bad. Admittedly, has been really bad from Keegan, but I still think the way his tee to green numbers have been this season, 5th at API, solid at Genesis, 20th at the Players. Like, he's put together some really good ball striking rounds, but he just hasn't gotten the flat stick to go. And obviously everyone wants to say Keegan, in the Northeast. Philadelphia is basically Boston. It's basically, where is he even from? I don't even know. Northern up there. I don't know. I'm just in at this point. I don't want to miss Keegan, and he's shown me enough with the ball striking that I think he can win. He won a signature event at a course that no one saw last year in Colorado. So I obviously like that. He has that going for him, but I don't know how much.
Brian, I think he's the player that's probably got the least out of his game this season.
Yeah.
Like, if you look, he's been gaining, like, obviously tee screening encompasses his approach and around the green, but he's been really positively gaining on all those 3 categories. He's been so good. It is just a putter. And it's such a weird thing with Keegan. Like, does he want to force his way onto that team?
I don't think so.
I don't think he does. But it's weird because, like, you want to force yourself on the team and qualify, so there's no question, but you also probably just don't want to play in it because you want to captain. It's such a weird...
He should, I do think that might struggle. I do think there is some internal struggle there of, like, if I really do win one of these big events, I'm going to be in the Ryder Cup conversation. And I know that we've looked at the bottom end of this U.S. team, and I think that if Stuart Sink was the captain, I think Keegan's like on. I don't know. Not yet, because he hasn't had any amazing results. But I think if Stu Cink was the captain and Keegan won this week, I know what happened in 2023. But I think the back end of this team is a lot worse.
Well, I think if Cink's the captain, Bradley gets in to make up for the fact he didn't get in the last one.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone would really be upset with that.
It's like ridiculous. The biggest makeup ever is to give someone the captaincy just for not picking them in the team. It's still such a ridiculous scenario. But I do think that is affected. Like we've seen so many players now, even the guys that it shouldn't affect. Like Zach Johnson's game shouldn't suffer because he has to captain a load of elite American golfers.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have like that team basically picked itself. He shouldn't have to do this big scouting mission for the last Ryder Cup, but he did in Rome. But now he's playing decent golf, Zach Johnson, and Keegan's playing great golf. Can't get any results, and I think it is this little thing of like, God, if I make this putt and make a run here, what happens to my captaincy? And I don't think that's the reason he's not winning or contending, but it definitely confuses you. I think any sort of confusion then handicaps you in some way.
Yeah, he absolutely 100% should not be on the team in any regard. It would just make absolutely no sense. And I don't know, the difference between him and, I don't know, Brooks as the final spot, or him and, I don't know, Akshay as the final spot, or him or Patrick Reed is like, the margins are pretty thin there. That's not going to, make or break the team. But, having a captain play, it would really make no sense. Right. Do you like anyone kind of above 50-1, like Wyndham Clark, Denny 66? I think that's probably a pretty good number if he doesn't have to win. Novak, Finau, Benon, Pendy, any of those guys you like?
So I think Novak makes a ton of sense. I haven't bet him, but like it's very hard to just ignore the form. Wyndham is always going to get an eye cast over him based on the odds. I think Brian Harman just winning and then finishing third.
Our guy?
He's our guy. Again, I don't know how I haven't bet him. It's probably because I've got 100-1 pick, but I don't think he's always disrespected in the market. I mean, we will always say the most obvious disrespect was that Open Championship because we were so fond of that win. But yeah, I think it's ridiculous that he's still coming out here at 70-1. I get,
and it's definitely a course he can win on.
100%. He's the type of player that contends at courses he shouldn't win on, right? Like he is that type of Zach Johnson mold that wins at St Andrews and Augusta saying he can't. Like he is that type of player. So I haven't bet him, but him and Wyndham Clark are the obvious ones. Are just like, they're big prices. Wyndham Clark for more of a reason.
Did I see that you're on Harris English?
You did.
Winged foot comp.
Yeah, winged foot, and interestingly as well. So obviously he had was he fourth at winged foot, but the other thing I looked at, and this is where you get to in the weeds, and this is one of those picks I shouldn't make, but I've done it anyway. Keith Foster renovated this course, but he also had a hand in renovating the Greenbrier Classic, the old white at TPC, where English also finished third. So that was just an extra caveat. Like that wasn't the reason I picked him at all. It was more the winged foot link.
And he's won in the Northeast before.
Won in the Northeast, plays well in these kind of FedEx Cup playoff events that get hosted here. And also, I just felt for someone that's won already this season, he's had 4 more top 30s. He's probably just a big price in a limited field. When we talk about no value, like he's probably one of those. So if you go to the players, he was 30th, but he was 11th at halfway. He was 18th at Houston. He was 12th in the Masters, which is a career best, and it was a strong ball striking week for him as well. That career best at Augusta was just huge for me. The fact that he just goes 12, 10 places better than he's ever finished there. Was more in contention of the players than we knew or thought about. Just really solid, and he's 100-1.
I like the Harris English sell. I'm not going to lie. I like the Harris English sell.
And I feel like you've probably got a nickname from somewhere. Like, do we call him like Prince Harry or something?
Just harrying.
Yeah,
like that.
harrying.
That's it for me. He doesn't have any crazy nicknames, but he's fine for Beth Page.
He wins.
Like I'm sure that you would not. I'm sure you'd be happy if he made the U.S. team. But I mean, he is kind of in the hunt a little bit for.
He will be when he wins this week.
Yeah. Again, I'm probably not betting anyone over 70-1. But I do like, for top 20s, like a Glover type Grazerman. I think Fitz could play well this week. Nick Taylor, I like a little bit. Eric Cole, each way.
Top 20, probably.
12 places each way with Eric Cole.
Yeah, that's fine. That's about his peak, I think, 12. But
I would say that's about it. Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
Have you made any selections?
So I haven't had a real deep dive into this just yet, but I've got a couple of names that I think are worth looking at, and they're pretty obvious. So the first one is Ricky Castillo. He's just on a decent run, right? Like he was 38th at the Corrales, 18th in the Zurich Classic, then 5th last week at the CJ Cup inside the top 3 for the middle 2 rounds. He was 12th at the Valspar, he was 4th going into the final round. Just really impressed. 15th at Torrey Pines as well. So I think he can go well, and he's, I think, like 45-1 over here in the UK. And then Henrik Norlander just keeps playing well.
Did he hit his irons well last week?
Let's have a look.
Because I know his iron play has been extremely hot.
14th in strokes gained approach as well. So
the iron play has been really good with him.
Second best player in irons. He played well last year here. He finished 20th, and he's probably playing better now. 15th going into the final round. When we've got a field that lacks a lot of depth, someone like a Henrik Norlander can contend and potentially win. So Castillo and Norlander were two that kind of caught my eye straight off the bat.
Yeah, my thing is, again, it's only a 1-year sample size, but this leaderboard was littered with long hitters last year. Goddard's above average distance, Davey T's above average distance, even Alistair Doherty, who I don't really know is a Corn Ferry player, he's plus in distance. Fox is long, EVR is long, Kevin Yu's long. Like, the top of the leaderboard definitely skewed towards bomber putter types, and I saw something in the Discord about how, like guys that were like top 15 in distance, most of them finished in like the top 20, but guys that were like high in accuracy didn't finish well at all. So I'm definitely kind of looking for, longer hitters this week. I think, guys like even Rico Hoey, who played well in the first round last week, could be a popular pick. Jesper Svensson, Ricky Cass. I think I'm in on Ricky with you. He's above average as distance. He's been playing well. Definitely betting Patty Fish. Love Patrick Fishburne this week. Driver putter type. He's been playing some decent golf. So I really like guys that Toasty 55. Even maybe Matty Schmid. He's pretty good on Bermuda. But I'm really targeting driver putter types this week at Myrtle.
In terms of just like a distance play, like Danny Walker was 13th in Mexico. He then finished 6th, obviously, the Players. And then a recent run as well of 31st at the Corrales, 25th last week, 13th going into the final round. Obviously 12th with his partner there in the Zurich Classic. So I think the run that Danny Walker's on, and the fact that he can hit the ball a long way, as you said, to your point, I think Danny Walker at kind of 80-1 looks a decent bet. It's one of those. Are we
sure he's playing?
I have Danny Walker on the odds.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I thought there was a chance he was in Truist. I have no clue why I thought that, but I actually like the Danny Walker shot. He was good at. I was good at players.
Yeah, like I thought he was going to be like massively hindered by the price. 80-1, I thought was massive.
We're getting a question: will there be shot tracker at MB? There was last year. They have strokes gained from last year, so I think there will be strokes gained. Again, to be completely honest, I don't know if I could, go up, over 100-1 in this field. To be honest, I think I want to kind of pepper a couple guys from 30 to 60-1. To be completely honest, but Camp Champ.
I mean, how do we ever predict that guy?
He played well last week. That's all you need.
I wanted to bet him. He was in the Corn Ferry Tour event, wasn't he? Then he got the late invite into the CJ Cup.
I Has he even been playing on the Corn Ferry? Let me pull it up. I got it.
Yeah, I just feel like he was.
Yeah, he has not been good on the Corn Ferry.
He's not been good at all. But he was, interestingly, like the 2 times he's been good recently, Puerto Rico Open, and then 15th last week.
He played in Puerto Rico. I didn't even know that.
And he finished 15th. So the 2 times he's actually got back onto the PGA Tour, he's played well. So maybe he just has no motivation to do anything on the Corn Ferry and just waits until he can let it rip on these big events, or bigger events for him.
I don't know if I could do it. If he wins, I would feel really dumb, even though he's legitimately terrible at golf. He obviously can win.
Like I was saying, it's a completely different end of the scale, so people don't get too carried away. But like everyone thinks they're going to be really stupid if they don't bet Brooks Koepka at a major, and they get to Sunday and he wins. Everyone goes, "I'm so stupid." And it's the same with Cam Champ. Anytime it wins, it's like, "Oh, it was so obvious." It's never been obvious. Like he is legitimately awful almost all the time. He has a very clear skill set, and when he's on, he is a very good PGA Tour player. He's just not on more than 2 or 3 times a year. So yeah, it won't be obvious, and even if you feel like an idiot, but that's what makes people make these bets. Like when you talk about distance, I feel like I should have to bet Aldrich Potgieter this week,
even though he's been awful since Mexico.
Yeah, he's playing absolutely awful golf. But if he wins on Sunday, I'll go, obviously we should have bet him. He hits it so far, and that's what gets you into this pattern of backing people that really
a lot of FOMO, a lot of fear of missing out.
There is a lot of FOMO, and I've kind of got to the point now where I'm just like, just let it go. It's a really healthy place to be in, and it actually saves you a lot of bets as well. So, it was interesting because Davis Riley got bet down to like 50-1 last week, and he's now 66-1 in this field.
Yeah, I feel like if you've been betting Davis Riley, you have to bet him at 60-1 in Bermuda, and he was good at Myrtle, and honestly, he was good. He was good for a bit in Puerto Rico. Before I let you go, can I get your European Ryder Cup team?
European Ryder Cup team? Whoa.
Maybe like the bottom guys, like top 7 or whatever. Like I think that's pretty fair.
So let me just bring them up, otherwise I'm going to be wide off here. Let's just see where the rankings are. Because I guess most of it really writes itself, right? So as it stands, Rory, Rasmus Højgaard, Tyrrell Hassan, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry, Ludwig Aber, that's fine. Fleetwood's definitely going to be on there. Hovland's definitely going to be on there. Rahm is going to be there. So we're talking Nicholas Norgard, Laurie Cantor. I think Dietrich.
I'm totally fine with Dietrich on the team.
Yeah. I think Dietrich should go if he can just keep any reasonable consistency. I don't think he needs to go.
Is Justin Rose on your team?
Yes.
Okay. Is Aaron Rye on your team?
No.
You're out on Rye.
Yeah, because then you've got like Stracker and Bob as well to consider, haven't you?
Yeah, I think Strack and Bob have to be on the team.
So we're saying Stracker.
So I don't even know if Rasmus is a lock. I don't think you can say that.
No, but like he's just on the rankings. But
yeah,
I would rather he didn't make the team so we can pick these other guys. But yeah, so we want to put in potentially Dietrich, Bob, Stracker. Who else did we just say? So that's like 3 or 4 guys.
And Rose. I don't even know if you could have more than that. Is Fitz on the team?
No, I hope not.
You don't think they're going to take Fitz?
I mean, he'd have to turn it around now.
Yeah.
I do get that he's like every other Ryder Cup he's earned his way on there, or he's been too difficult to leave out. He doesn't bring something to the Ryder Cup.
Agreed.
It's not like a Justin Thomas or a Jordan Spieth where if you lift them off, it's a big controversy. If he's playing shit, he's playing shit. And that is what he's doing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy after he had that 2022 season to be like, he's not going to be on the team in 3 years.
I don't think we're talking about his downfall enough.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's because he wasn't a super elite PGA Tour player.
And it's because he's likable. Like, people don't want to... Like, if he was unlikable, like if Patrick Cantlay falls off like Matt Fitzpatrick has, we are pounding into him every week. But because Fitz is generally a good bloke and people don't want to pile on, but it's been awful. He was top 10.
Really bad.
He has been. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he. Do you remember? Like he always talks about the fact that he records every shot that he ever takes, including like the range. I wonder if because he's like recently got like engaged. And I wonder if he's just taking his eye off the ball like even slightly, and that's just completely ruined him. Because
he's got a new girlfriend, new wife. He's gone downhill.
Like, he's just taking his eye off the ball slightly. Maybe he's got an injury we don't know about. I know he had that driver issue, didn't he, where it was broken for ages.
Yeah.
And didn't realize. There's just been no redeeming quality in him at all that makes me feel any sort of confidence that it's going to come back. I mean, it will come back at some point, but like 40th at the Augusta, 38th for the Heritage. He played well for one round at the Heritage, maybe two, I guess. I don't know.
I agree. He's probably not on the team right now. I would rather have Højgaard or Rose.
It can't even be a conversation now, but I guess if he gets in the mix at a major, you have to then consider it. But why do we think that's going to happen? Like the major he won was, of course, he had this massive affinity with. It's not looking good for him.
I think there aren't really that many question marks with Europe. I think they have a pretty set team. Maybe like 2 spots are open because I do think Sepp and Bob have to be on the team, and I don't think that leaves much room, to be completely honest. So we shall see, but I will let you go to bed, Tom. Always appreciate you coming on. Obviously, listen to Lost for Worlds. Great pod. Maybe we could meet up for a pint in London.
I did want to, just because I saw comments, I think, about Turkish picks, maybe. So I'll just very quickly give the Turkish.
Love it. Let's go.
So Haotong Lee is the favourite, but I'm betting him. I have no qualms of betting him as the favourite. He's 16-1. Adrian Sadier is 35-1. Adrian Ategi is 60-1. And then I've bet Jordan Gumberg at 175-1, who, quite honestly...
Wait, you're betting Haotong Lee?
I am betting Haotong Lee.
As the favorite?
As the favourite.
Really?
It's disgusting, but... He's playing.
Is he playing super well right now? How bad does it feel that Haotong Lee's the favorite?
He's playing really well. He's already won this season. He's been really consistent with his irons. He's played this course 3 times. He's finished second twice. He lost to Justin Rose in the playoff and lost to Thorben Olesen. So the 2 times he's lost here, he's lost to 2 of the better players in the field. And I just think you have to upgrade him based on this horrendous lack of depth on the DP World Tour. Right now, he had a chance to win recently at home. He was the 36 and 54-hole leader there as well. So it feels gross, and I think.
And you like Taggy?
Tagi's in. Like Big O has to go in. Love him. I think I've just seen there's 0% chance he should be considered. I disagree. He wins Haotong. So.
Sweet. Okay, I'm looking for. Is it a good course at least?
It's a resort course. It's horrible.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, not the best DP.
It's not the best event.
I'm glad you're back.
But there's a win.
Yeah, Haotong Lee 14-1, Wendy Ding, Juice Loot. Yeah, not a great field. To be honest, I like Vermin.
Yeah, fine.
I think Vermin can play well. I don't know. I just made that up. I know he won earlier this year. All right, we'll let you get out of here. Let's link up hopefully in a couple weeks' time, and hope everyone has a great night. We'll see you next week for the PGA Championship.
See you guys.